Hey guys, here Sunday afternoon, and been talking about doing a catch, clean, and cook for a little while. In fact, I think I talked about it a little bit in this video behind me here. This is that pig, and we are fixing to take this pig to the next step. I didn't video a whole lot of cutting this pig up. I did some that night, but this is next step. So I've had this pig in the freezer for a couple weeks now, and fixing to run it through this grinder, which was just blessed to us. So let me assemble this grinder real quick and kind of show you how this works. This is just typical LEM grinder. It's a commercial model. We've been working with one a lot smaller the last several years. I need to put this in first. And we're doing this year. So I've been processing for friends for the last several years. But this year we're doing what I've dubbed protein for the cool kids. So what we're doing here is processing this pig into breakfast sausage to take to a couple orphanages. I'm going to start off, we're going to run this through 2 times, and I'm going to start off with the 10 millimeter on here, the 10 millimeter blade, which will give us a rough, coarse cut. Man, this thing is so gnarly. It's just so much bigger than the grinder we've had. We've had a number 8. This is a number 32. This is their big one. So they're commercial size. So what I've got in here right now is, this is the pig meat cut up, and it's kind of frozen, so I've just got it cut into blocks, and it's still frozen. And then I've taken what we use to cut for fat content. We use a lot of bacon ends and pieces. You can buy it real cheap. I think you buy it in 3-pound blocks for, I don't know, $6, $7, something like that. It's pretty cheap. You can get cheaper fat. You can get beef fat and stuff like that, but this adds some flavor to it. And so we figured, since we were taking this to the orphanages, we were wanting to get the best product that we could possibly get, so we went with the bacon ends and pieces for this. So kind of mixing it in. We've got a 20-pound run we're doing here. So these packages of breakfast seasoning is how we season it. It's a 5-pound. It's for a 5-pound mix here, and so I've got 2 5-pound mixes and the remnants of a 25-pound that we've done in the past. So we're going to have just enough to do the 20 pounds here. So I'll start sprinkling some of this in. So before I run this through the grinder, I'm going to have all my spices and everything that I'm putting in it is going to be in here so that it goes through the grinder. It helps the mixing process. We also add brown sugar, 2 cups for 20 pounds. And then we also add crushed red pepper. We've got, I think, 1.5 ounces in here for the 20-pound run. Crushed red pepper make it tough to cook. When you're cooking this, it can make your eyes water, and it can be difficult. So Mama is the only one tough enough to run this stuff through the frying when we're here cooking it for breakfast. We all abandon ship because we're coughing and hacking. The brown sugar, man, it makes it taste great, but it can be hard on the frying pan. It wants to stick to the frying pan. So those 2 ingredients are optional. We like them, so we mix them in, and so we're mixing it in for this run also. Try to get this stuff distributed all throughout, and then I'll stir it up a bit, and then add some more to it, and then stir it up a bit more, and then just kind of keep doing that. And again, you'll see as it runs through the grinder and comes out, this mix will get distributed a lot more evenly throughout the batch as we whip it up here. So it doesn't have to be absolutely perfect just yet, because this will do an awful lot of that. If we can get it spread out throughout here fairly now as it goes through the grinder, it'll get a really good blend. And it'll also, the second time we go through, the first and second time will also help mix the fat into it. Go ahead and put some crushed red pepper in as well. Go ahead and get some of my brown sugar in again, so I can just kind of keep mixing all this stuff up. So we're taking quite a bit of deer meat and quite a bit of pork to these orphanages, and it's just been really new to my heart here lately. This particular year, I got a good friend of mine that's orchestrated. In fact, the same gentleman that bought this grinder for us kind of put together Christmas for the orphans, and so we're kind of helping with that a little bit this year as well, trying to get each orphan down there in the orphanages some clothes, shoes, and some toys. Not a whole lot of anything, but a little bit of something. Trying to spend roughly $100 per kiddo. And we had some people donate to that cause, and we appreciate you guys for donating to that cause. But been looking at the pictures of these kiddos as we are purchasing for half a dozen of them with the monies that you guys sent to us over a post that I put out on social media. Looking at those pictures, it's tough. You look at those guys and gals and you just wonder, you know, obviously they didn't do anything to deserve to be where they're at. You wonder what they've seen, the lives that they've lived already, you know, some of them 4, 5, 6 years old, and what they've been through. Breaks your heart. So it's made us very inspired this year to go out of our way to try to make it better for them. And that's kind of what we're doing here today. This is our Sunday morning with my family. We've kind of spent working on stuff here at the house as I've been trying to prepare this, getting it ready. So this is kind of, and I'm not condoning or suggesting that you skip church to do this kind of stuff, but today this is a kind of our church. As we're trying to be the hands and feet of Jesus for these kiddos that, well, they just don't have a lot going their way, it doesn't appear. I've been down to those orphanages quite a bit, and one thing that I see that stands out to me is that in as much as it looks like they don't have a lot, one thing they do typically have is a smile on their face, and I can't figure all that out for sure. I don't understand it because so many of our kids have so much stuff, and yet they're distraught and suicidal and sure not wishing orphan status on more people, but wishing the same joy that those kiddos run around with. So anyway, got this stuff mixed up pretty good. I'm going to get it loaded up here in the tray. And yeah, I think we'll get this stuff its first run through the 10mm plate here. And this is the first time we've ever used this grinder. You can believe we're excited to see how this thing works. I think I've used a 32 before, but I'm not sure. But I know with new blades and everything being new on here, this thing's gonna run like a Scalded 8. And I am giddy to watch it do what it does. A little tray up here ain't quite gonna hold the meat that I've got for it. All right, I've got a little extra here that's not gonna fit in the tray, so get it out of the way. Room up top, we'll put that in. So here we go. First time for this new LEM number 32. We're running 20 pounds worth here. It won't take but just a matter of minutes to run this through its first cutting. The last little bit coming through the auger there, and just like that, that's 20 pounds ground. For the first grind, we're fixing to put the 4.5mm on, and it'll go a little slower the second time through. You see the frost trying to build up here on the little tube, which is a good sign. That means we've got our meat good and cold. All right, we're at the next phase here. We're fixing to run this stuff through the 4.5mm blade here. So I'm going to change blades, and then we're going to run it into the vacuum seal bags, and then vacuum seal it and get this stuff ready to go. So a little bit of a process of changing the wheels out, or the blades here, the plate. 10mm plate coming off, and the 4.5mm plate going on. And this just gives it a real fine grind. You wouldn't have to do this. We prefer it to be a little finer than a 10 millimeter. I mean, you know how big a 10 millimeter wrench is, because most of the people watching this are motocross people. So that's a pretty big chunk of meat to go with it, 10 millimeter. So you could go 4.5 twice, but we've just found that it works better to do the 10 the first time and then the 4.5 the second time. A little easier on the grinder to break it down, and we just like the mix the way it comes out that way. So anyway, we've got 20 pounds ready to roll here. We've got our vacuum seal bags ready to go. Make sure everything sounds good here. And this is where it kind of turns into a family ordeal here. Get it to start coming through the auger, wait till it comes out, start coming out the tube, and then Mama will start catching it there in the bags. Get a little pusher here. A little tougher to get the stuff to go through after it's been ground once. Of course, y'all know Mama and Brookie. Brookie helps me do a lot of the hunting and the processing of these critters. Mama doesn't do much of the hunting, but she does a lot of the processing, helping as far as this point in the game. We'll weigh that and kind of get a feel for what it's going to take to make a 2-pound bag. So we're a pound and 9 ounces, so we've still got 7 ounces to go here. You know what? It's customary for us to sample this. You might need to run over and cook us a couple patties.
Okay.
Yep, doing a sample run here just to make sure we like what we've got. Make sure the product is up to our standards. Again, we're doing this for the couple of orphanages, but we want to send down a good product, and so whipping it up here. And actually our gas stove, our propane stove, our propane line has got a leak in it somewhere that just recently happened. So we're kind of surviving here the last month or so, the last few weeks anyway, on our little Camp Chef stove. Runs off the little 1-pound propane bottles. We've moved it into the living room here, into our kitchen area. And this is what we've been surviving off of here for the last few weeks. Pretty cool little stove. It's actually got an oven on it. I take that camping on some of my glamping trips. It gives me the opportunity to have biscuits and cakes, and you can do all kinds of cool stuff with it. So anyway, yeah, we're using that. We're probably going to be cooking our Thanksgiving meal on that this year. We're going to sample our run here.
That's good. That's really good.
Yeah, it's really good. The brown sugar takes some of the health value out of it.
But it sure makes it taste good.
It sure does. Yeah, it's a game changer.
Look at the last one. Mr. Cameraman needs to try some.
Yeah, it's really good. I get asked all the time, is that wild pig good to eat? I travel a lot. Can you eat that wild pig? Is it any good? And I'll just be honest, there was a lot of years I didn't mess with it. I was just a deer guy. I didn't mess with ducks and other stuff. I was just a deer guy. But the last few years we've started eating this wild pig, and man, we really like it. And in a lot of applications, we prefer it over deer meat. It's just, not gamey. It's got a little bit more fat content, so it doesn't dry out like venison does. And yeah, we've become big fans of the wild pig. Also, living here in Texas, we have an endless supply of it, and there's no closed season. You can harvest them year round. So just a cool little bonus if you're a hunter that lives in Texas that likes to try to feed his family off the land. We got the wild pig to do it with, and so we've been doing a lot of that the last few years. So anyway, we're going to run this stuff out and get this 20 pounds vacuum sealed up, ready to head to the orphanages, and yeah, feel blessed for the opportunity to be able to help out in this capacity. Well, we had 20 pounds of pork. We had about 4 pounds of bacon ends and pieces for the fat content. By the time we added the sugar and everything else, we ended up with, I think we got 11 packs. One, two, three, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11. That gives us 11 packs at 2 pounds, and most of these are a little over 2. They're 2 pounds and half an ounce or something. So ended up with 22 pounds of breakfast sausage to send to the orphanages, and feel pretty blessed to be able to do this. We'll try to do a few more runs. I usually do 50-pound runs at a time, but didn't this time. Don't have room in the freezer. I got an elk this year, and so we're kind of having to run things as I get it. For the most part, I can keep a little bit, but I just can't keep a whole lot this year until we eat up some more of this elk. This is going to go to my buddy Bill's deep freeze, and we'll keep that for the next couple weeks over there until we take it down to the orphanages. Anyway, this is something we enjoy doing as a family. It's kind of fun as you get into this. You can kind of start tweaking things the way you like it. I've never taken wild game into a meat processor. I'm not opposed to meat processors, but I've just never done that before. I've always wanted to do it myself, and so we've just tried to step our game up the last few years and improve our understanding and knowledge of how to do this stuff. And of course, once we got into the grinding, man, it's a game changer. A couple weeks ago, we made our first ever venison bacon, and we make snack sticks and bratwurst and do all kinds of stuff now. And for the most part, we know where the meat comes from. Obviously, we added some bacon ends and pieces here, but the ratio of how much meat we eat that we don't harvest ourselves is pretty minimal. So anyway, man, thank you all for watching. If you want to try this stuff, have any questions, most of y'all know how to get a hold of me, give me a shout. I'd love to visit with you about it. Thank you all for watching. Hit like, subscribe, do all the stuff you know to do. Share this with somebody. And hey guys, just doing a quick outro on the breakfast sausage video. And, you know, I've been pondering ingredients because of this breakfast sausage video. And there's some things in there that make that breakfast sausage. There's some things we could leave out, or there was some things that we added to it, and it was still breakfast sausage. But I can't put celery and salt in a bowl and mix it up and call that breakfast sausage. It's not breakfast sausage, it's celery and salt. It doesn't have the ingredients in it that make it breakfast sausage. There's a lot of people out there that call themselves children of God, but they're lacking some ingredient. And number one ingredient that you have to be considered a child of God is you have to have Jesus as the Lord of your life. Without that, you are not a child of God. And I can tell you what happened in my life at 17 years old as a non-believer. Talked to some people and they shared the gospel message with me, and they even offered to pray with me. And I said, no, I'll go talk to God myself. And I did. I went home that night and I laid in my bed and I prayed an earnest prayer. It wasn't real polished, but it was earnest. And I said, God, I don't know much, but I know I'm on my way to the pen or the grave. And if you're real, I want you to have all of who I am. Have me, God. And I fell asleep. And I woke up a different human.
God did something inside of me that night that made me a different human. And I don't know how your sinner's prayer was, but I'll say this. It can be a little bit dangerous to just follow somebody in a prayer. That's why I'm not going to try to lead you in one tonight. But I'm going to encourage you to understand that if you want to talk to God, He's there to listen. If you're going to pray in earnest and genuinely, He's there to listen. And it changed who I was. When I woke up the next day, I was a different human because I believe Jesus came in not just as my Savior, but as my Lord and started taking me places that I never thought I could go in this life. There's an ingredient that if you don't have in you, don't call yourself a child of God. It's like calling salt and celery sausage. It's not sausage, it's salt and celery. And if you don't got Jesus in your heart, don't call yourself a child of God because you're simply lost. Love you enough to tell you that. Man, bless you guys. And if you don't know Jesus, He wants to know you.